This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutterdime and welcome you to another sports catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, October the 13th. Yes, I know that it's a baseball one, just like the on this day, but this guy is an icon. Like, he played 18 years in baseball from 93 to 2010. He's a longtime closer, pitching more than 15 years for the San Diego Padres. He's basically the best San Diego Padre player, not named Tony Gwynn or even Dave Winfield or Fernando Tatis Jr., but we'll see what Tatis' career will be like. All that. But anyway, Trevor Hoffman now is 54 years old. He's in the Hall of Fame since 2018. He was the all-time saves leader for a while until Mo Rivera beat him to it. The funny thing about Hoffman is he was a shortstop at the University of Arizona and was drafted in the 11th round by the Cincinnati Reds. He couldn't bat, but he could pitch because he could throw up to 95 miles per hour. In fact, there's a lot of things that will happen. I mean, he's a 7-time All-Star. He was actually runner-up for the Cy Young twice, which was weird because he's a closer. So yeah. Well, Hoffman's entrances at Padres games would be accompanied by the AC/DC song Hell's Bells. So, yeah. So he played shortstop. All that. So, anyway, Hoffman was drafted in the 11th round of the 1989 MLB draft, but he couldn't run, but he could pitch, so he was made a pitcher. Since he left him unprotected in the 1992 expansion draft, because the Marlins and the Rockies were coming to the National League, Florida decided to snatch him up in the with their 8th pick. Pretty good, huh? So let's take a look at the expansion draft picks for the Marlins and if they were pretty good or not. So, pretty good, huh? Well, Florida's first pick was Nigel Wilson from the Blue Jays. Well, Nigel Wilson wasn't really much of a player, so well, he's Canadian. But Nigel Wilson, no. Jose Martinez was pitcher from the Mets and shortstop Brett Barbery from the Expos. So the Marlins didn't really make that big of a move. Well, Barbery was okay, but Trevor Hoffman was the main class for the Marlins. I mean, Brian Harvey and Jeff Conine came in later on. They even took Carl Everett. That's weird. So the Marlins took. So Carl Everett was eligible to be in '92. Oh wow. And then they took Danny Jackson. That wouldn't last too long. So anyway, his first major league season was in '93. He pitched 29 games with the Marlins with a pair of saves. Well, he couldn't be the main closer because Brian Harvey was. Hoffman would be traded to San Diego during San Diego's '93 fire sale. San Diego needed to get rid of some people quick for financial reasons. San Diego would send Florida Gary Sheffield and Rich Rodriguez. So Hoffman and the pair of pitching prospects, Jose Martinez being one of them, the guy that was drafted ahead of Hoffman in the expansion draft. On there. San Diego GM Randy Smith said, the only way to acquire quality players is to give up quality. Sheffield was the defending NL batting title champion. And he did insist that Florida include Hoffman in the deal, I guess to give San Diego's bullpen better. Padres fans were upset by the trade, especially after losing a guy like Gary Sheffield, so they booed Hoffman a lot. His debut with the Padres was a disaster, giving up 3 runs in his 1 inning. He would pitch 39 games for the Padres and did okay, but in the end, he wasn't there. Hoffman would then become a closer for the Padres, so he did okay. 20 saves with a 10.9 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched thing. However, Hoffman was playing Nerf football and landed awkwardly on his right shoulder and figured a strange sound. Worst part is, he knew there was a problem. He had off-season rotator cuff surgery. He lost some speed on his fastball, but he developed a good changeup. And boy, howdy, he looked good. Hoffman was named NL Fireman of the Year as closer in '96. Hoffman would help the Padres win the NL West in 1996, shocking the Dodgers. So they won their first division title in 12 years. The Padres would play the Cardinals in the NLDS, but get swept 3-0. Hoffman would get a few big losses and all that. During the 1990 season, Hoffman decided to enter safe situations in Padres home games to the entrance music of Hell's Bells, known as Trevor time. Hoffman would convert a lot of saves and all that. 41 straight saves, which was amazing. In September of '98, he would break Mark Davis's saves record as a Padre, for a Padre. And then later on in that month, he became the fourth reliever to get 50 saves. He got 53 of them, which tied Randy Myers of the Cubs. Hoffman ended up being runner-up in the Cy Young to Tom Glavine. The funny thing is that Hoffman beat Glavine 13 first-place votes to 11 and was left off 6 ballots. Hoffman and Adam Wainwright of the 2009 Cardinals were the only 2 pitchers to ever receive the most first-place votes and not win the Cy Young. That's weird. Anyway, Hoffman would be huge in the postseason, except for against the Yankees, who broke his heart in the World Series. Hoffman signed a contract extension, and it was pretty good. He even had a no-trade clause, the first Padre to ever have that. Hoffman was even on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 2002. Pretty good. Unfortunately, Hoffman had problems. He had 2 off-season shoulder surgeries in 2003, which took him hard and all that. But Hoffman came back. Hoffman became the closer once the Padres moved to Petco Park. And after the 2004 season, he ended up third. He took third on the all-time saves list. All that. So Hoffman was huge. He got 400 saves in 2005, which was the third guy to do it, behind only John Franco and Lee Smith. Hoffman almost left after 2005 to join the Indians, but he decided to keep his family in San Diego. And he did fantastic. Against the Padres, September 2006, he got a save, which beat Lee Smith's record of 478. So he was amazing, and became the first guy to get 500 saves against when he did against the Dodgers. So yeah, it was pretty good. So he was still strong and all that. So Hoffman did get 20 plus saves for the 14th time, which set an MLB record. However, he wouldn't return to the Padres in 2009. He didn't want to move his family. In the meanwhile, the Padres owner actually was in a midst of divorce and had to sell the team, ordered the team to reduce its payroll budget, and Hoffman would not be allowed to come back. Padres lowballed the $4 million offer and retracted that. I mean, that was not good. Hoffman had to leave San Diego after being the face of the franchise once Gwynn retired. So he was on a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Brewers. So why not? And he struggled. He did well, but then in 2010 he started to struggle. Less control on his changeups. His ERA was just not there. He was demoted to his setup role. But he got a 600 save. But after that, he just couldn't do it. Hoffman almost went to Arizona but they signed J.J. Putz to be their closer. Hoffman figured he could pitch in the big leagues, but he didn't want to be on a team from the off. He wanted to be where the West Coast, so he decided to retire. And in 2011, the Padres decided to retire number 51, which was amazing and all of that. So that was pretty good, don't you think? So yeah, so Hoffman was eligible for the Hall of Fame starting in 2016 because he served 5 years of retirement. But 2018 he got in, so that was pretty good. Hoffman's trademark leg kick, man, it was amazing how Hoffman was such a good, had a good characteristic. Unfortunately, Hoffman's biggest mistake with the Padres was in 2007 when he was ready to close out the one-game tiebreaker with the Rockies in Colorado, which would send San Diego to the playoffs. But he blew it, giving up 3 runs in the 13th inning as the Rockies did win that game. So Hoffman's legacy, unfortunately, is a little tainted for Padres fans because of that blown save at the worst possible time. However, his 9.36 strikeouts per 9 innings are the 5th highest in Major League history, and he's the National League leader in saves because Mariano Rivera only pitched for the Yankees, who were in the American League. So Hoffman still was good and all of that. I mean, can't beat that. Here are the records. He has 5 MLB records: most career saves in the National League, most consecutive seasons with 40 saves. That's 4, although it's tied with Francisco Rodriguez and Craig Kimbrough. Most seasons with 40 saves, well, consecutive was 4. Most seasons with 90 saves was 9. He ties with Mo Rivera. Most strikeouts per 9 innings by reliever, 9.36. And most games pitched with one team in the National League, 902. Pretty good, don't you think? Mariano Rivera broke a lot of his records, but you know what? You can't beat that. In fact, Trevor Hoffman married his wife in Buffalo when she was a real estate agent and actually a member of the Buffalo Bills cheerleading squad. And he actually asked her to marry him in 93 while she was on the field performing during Super Bowl 27. So they had 3 sons, Brody, Quinn, and Wyatt. So Trevor Hoffman was a fireman, and the biggest regret. Shoot the thrill. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adu.